Hello friend, welcome back. In this session, I will discuss about that class-based view. That means before when you view any page, we use it by the function. So now you can also view it by the class. So how can do that work? In this video, I will show you that things with a live example. So for doing this, I want to open our first project where I have already discussed about how can create one of the code application with using that MySQL, right? So now better I want to open our this project, not this one. I just click as a new file, open, and now go to our project. That means the exercise file. Into the exercise file, I have created one of the code application in our Django practice, right? So into the Django practice, so that is our my first project. So now I want to open it. So I just simply click as a select folder. So that is our first project, and here I have already discussed about that things with you, how can create one of the code application with using the database. So right now we don't need this. I just simply remove everything from here. Okay, I just simply remove it everything, and also here we don't need this. So that is our second project. So right now I just simply remove our second project. So for the first project, I have also created one of the database, right? So if you go to phpMyAdmin, make that sure first of all you have to run your Apache and the MySQL. So I have already run my Apache and the MySQL, and for the reasons I can actually access our database. So I have already created one of the database as a my first Django. Now if you run our server, like that is our project as a first project. So in particular that folder, that means my first project, and here I run our server as a py and then manage.py and then run server. So now that is actually our URL. So I just simply copy it and go to our site, and here I just run it. So here you can see, friend, I have already discussed about that things with you. From here, if you want to add any musician, you can add it. If you want to add any album, then you can add any album, and that is our album, all the data. If you want to edit it, right? If you want to edit this data, you can edit it. And also if you want to delete this data, you can delete it from here. So we have done everything with using that our function in our view. Like right now I want to add some of the musician. I just simply define that name as a BB. For education purpose, actually this data will be needed. So for now I just add some of the musician. You can see that's actually our musician. So here if you want to add some of the album as a B, and I name it as a AAA, and then I just define some of the date and also define as a good, click as a add album. Now go here, you can see album is added. So we have already done everything, and every data is comes from our database. That means here I have already created one of the database. If you go to that musician, and you can see that is actually our new data is perfectly inserted in our database area. So now we will do the same things. We will do the same things with using that class. Like if you go to the view page, right now we don't need this. If you go to that view here, you can see I have declared all that our function, that is our index function, and here I have created another function as the album list, and also I have created another function as a musician form. So now we will do the same things with using that our class-based view. So how can do that work? I'll show you. Like right now I want to remove everything, because before remove I want to actually save all the data, then it will be helpful to you. Now go to our exercise file, and that is our Django practice. So I just simply copy it, and here I take one of the folder. So that is actually our, I just name it as a backup. Okay, backup file. And into the backup file here, I want to define, better I just simply copy it first. So that is our Django practice. Here I have created one of the code application. So into the backup file area, I just simply paste it. And I just want to change that name, and here I name it as a code. Okay, that means there is actually our code application. So I just name it as a code application. Okay, so if you need this file, then you can actually access it from here. Perfect. So now I want to change it. Like here right now I don't need any data, so I want to remove everything. I want to make the things from fresh. Also we don't need this. I want to remove it. So first of all, I want to compare both of these. That means I want to compare with our function and the class. Then it will be easy to understand you. For doing this, first of all, here I want to take our HTTP response. like there is a Django, and into the Django there is a HTTP. I think you already know about it. So from here I want to import as a HTTP response, right? So I just simply added that HTTP response. So before, what exactly we did? Before, we have created one of the function as the index function. So first of all, I want to work with this, then I will make the things with the class, then it will be very much clear to you. Like here I define as a request, right? So that is our request, and into the function area I just simply define as a return, and then HTTP response, and here we pass some of the string data like as a hello world, right? And also for this we have defined one of the URL. Like if you go here into this position, that means in our main URLs area we have already created one of the mapping into the application. I also created another URL. So in our main URL here I define as a path, when it should be as a home, then it should be redirected to our fast app URLs, right? That means it should be redirected to our this fast application. Into the fast application, that is our URLs. So right now here I don't need this, I just simply remove everything because I want to make the things from fresh. So here I have already added our input path, and into the fast app I have added the views, and I have created one of the app as a app name, and I just defined that app name as a fast app, right? And then that is our URL pattern. So now I want to actually load our this function. So if you want to load it, this function, I think you already know about it. You have to define as a path, and then view I will have defined as index, and I just name it as index. So that is actually the way for our function view. So that is actually our function view. So if you want to visible it, now if you click as a save all, I just click as a save all, and now run our server. So our server is now running. So now if you go to your home, now you can see it's now returning as a hello world. So now if you want to do the same things with the class-based view, how can do this work? So for doing this, we have to go to our view. So into the view, so that into the view, that is actually our function style. So now I want to view it with the class-based view. So if you want to do that work, first of all, here you have to add some of the class. So I just simply define one of the form, and do the Django. Into the Django, they have also one of the views, and in the views they have also one of the genetic. Okay, genetic, and into the genetic here we have to import. Our one of the another class, one of the building class as a view. So I just simply added our this class as a view, and now I want to create one of the class. So I just name it as a class, and here I want to create one of the class name, and I just name it as the index view. This type of one of the class name I have defined, and now here we have to inherit our this class, that means our building class is a view. So I just simply define that view. Okay friend, and now into this class area we have to create one of the function. So now I want to create one of the function as a def, and then the get, and here, and as I told you before, when you create any function into the class, then you have to define that things with the self, right? So now I just simply define as a self, and then request, and then here I want to pass some of the return, some of the text. So here I want to pass it with the HTTP response, and into the HTTP response now I want to show another message as a hello world, and that is class based. Okay, I just name it as that is class based. So this is the string I want to pass it right now with our this class view. So friend, I think you can well understand about it. So here I have defined one of the class, and I just named this class as the index view, and into the index view I inherited our one of the building class, so which will be comes from our views and the genetic, and from here I get our this building class as a view. So here I inherited it. Okay, and after that into this class area I have to create one of the function, and here I have created one of the function as a get, and into this get, as I told you, if you want to create any function into the class area, you have to pass one of the argument that is to the self, right? And then I just simply define the request, and then I return our HTTP one of the text, say hello world, that is the class based. So now we have to create one of the URL for this one. So now if you want to create that URL in our fast application, that is our URL. And into the URL area for the function we have defined as a views index, and I just name it as a index, right? So before I have used that index, so now better I want to actually change it, then it will be easy to understand you. I just name it as a test. Okay, I just named that function name as a test. So now I want to create another URL for our class based view. So if you want to display that class based view URL, then you have to define as a views, and after this view you have to define your class name. So here I define that class name as index view. So I just name it as index view. And then after that, here you have to add your as underscore and the view. So here you have to add this as a as underscore view. Okay, and then I just simply name this as a index. I just name it as the same name. So that is our path. So here I have defined that empty. That means there should be our home path, right? Into the home path, I have defined that views in our index. That is the index view. That is actually our class name. And here I define as a as view. As view means it will be called our this class. That means this class as a view. So for the reasons here, you have to add that as view, and then that is our name as the index. So that is the main basic difference between function and the class. So now if you run it, like I just click on the save all. So our server is now running, and now if you refresh it, yes, now you can see friend, now that is actually our class based view, and it's now showing our this string data as a hello world, and that is the class base. I hope you get little bit idea what is the difference between our function based view and the class based view, right? So now if you want to add some of the templates, so before we have already defined some of the template for our function. So if you want to add some of the template view into the class based view area, how can do that work? Better I want to do and to continue this process. In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.